Hey guys, this is Jay from JTBR. Today I have a book to recommend that feels a little different from your average fantasy series. A lot of booktubers have already talked about it. It's shown up in countless top 10 lists, but it holds a special place for me personally because I was already familiar with the historical story that inspired it. Today we're talking about The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. The Grace of Kings is book one of an epic fantasy series called The Dandelion Dynasty. It's set in the archipelago of Dara, where a tyrannical emperor's rule sparks rebellion. We follow two protagonists, Kunigaru, a street-smart, laid-back outlaw who values cleverness over brute force, and Matazindu, a towering warrior born into nobility driven by honor and legacy. They start off as unlikely allies, but as the rebellion escalates and power shifts, their friendship is tested, and their visions for the future of Dara begin to clash in very powerful ways. The Grace of Kings is inspired by the Chu Han contention, a real historical period that followed the fall of China's Qin dynasty. If you're from East Asia, you probably grew up with some exposure to this story. Through school, through shows like King's War, or through historical novels like Legend of Chu and Han, or Chohanji in Korean. For me, this wasn't just a fantasy novel. It was a reimagining of a story I'd known since childhood. And yet, Ken Liu takes that history and completely transforms it. The historical version was already intense, but Liu's version, it's even more nuanced, more character-driven, and somehow even more epic. Did I like it? I loved it. Ken Liu describes his series as SILKPUNK, a subgenre he coined. Think steampunk, but with East Asian aesthetics, philosophies, and technologies. Instead of brass goggles and Victorian gears, we get battle kites, airships, and armor made of silk and bamboo. This could have easily gone wrong. Historical fiction and fantasy don't always place nice. I know some do. But here it works beautifully. I was honestly amazed at how seamless it felt. I'd be reading about historical inspired battle, and suddenly here comes an airship. And it didn't feel out of place. It felt like it belonged there. There are also gods who meddle in mortal affairs, not in a heavy-handed way, but as a kind of mythological commentary. Some appear in disguise, some just whisper from the sidelines, and every time I recognized a twist on the original story, just slightly bent into fantasy, I felt a little jolt of joy. Now, full disclosure, The Grace of Kings is just the first book in a 4-book series. So far, I've only read book 1. But I've heard from many readers that this is basically a 600-page prologue to the real saga that kicks off from book 2. That sounds intimidating, sure, but if this is just a prelude, I'm honestly excited to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Apparently, the rest of the series gets even more political, even more philosophical, and even more experimental, which I'm absolutely here for. So, if you're looking for a fantasy that feels different, if you want epic battles, political intrigue, myth, and invention all rolled into one, and especially if you have a soft spot for East Asian history or classical storytelling, then I can't recommend The Grace of Kings enough. Let me know in the comments if you read it or if you're planning to. And if you've read further into the series, no spoilers, but tell me, does it keep getting better? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more reviews like this one. See you in the next one.